This week on London Real, we have the actor, model, and anti-bullying advocate, RJ Mitte.
Why do you think it took so many people like a few seasons to get their head around Breaking Bad?
Well, we came out in essentially a very dark time for the world. The show was very dark in a sense, and they toned down the show for the network because people were complaining that it was too hard. As at the time, people were in the same position as Brian's character. They were in that
broke, bad times.
They were losing their money. They were losing their homes. It was bad times. It was, what am I going to do to provide for my family? Where am I going to find the job that I just lost to keep my family in that way of living? We increased our viewership because that was changing, and people were realizing they do have a way out, and they do have a way to see the future, and they just have to work. And Brian's character, Walt, did work, just in a different path.
But I was wondering if you could take me back to that day when you're shooting the pilot.
It really was an opportunity of a lifetime, and being a part of this cast. And I remember sitting in an ensemble where it's all 5 of us in this one scene, and we're all getting coverage, and we're shooting all day, and that's what I love is that camaraderie and that drive. And when you're able to see people that are still passionate about what they do after 30 and 40 years of working in this industry since a child, and that's something special, because a lot of people don't have their passion anymore.
How do you not be intimidated when you're at the dinner table acting with these people?
If you're busy being intimidated, you're not living in the moment. If you're busy living in a realm of fear and, oh my God, this is Bryan Cranston and a gun that I'm doing. If you're like that, you're not doing your job. You're not thinking about where you're at. You're not playing that character. You're caught up in actuality. You're caught up in real life.
Let's talk about disability.
Yes.
Walt Jr. has cerebral palsy. And it's funny because I read that in the Wikipedia and I had to think twice, because you were introduced in the first season and he has the crutches and everything, but after you get to know him, you do forget about it.
Yeah.
And he's just another fascinating character on the show.
Not many people realize that. As you did watch the show and as you did see Walt Jr., you saw the crutches first and then you saw the character. But as you are evolving with this character and you're growing, you no longer think about that and you see the character for what he is. But that's the thing, is that's the mindset that we're in now, is that we see the crutch or we see the chair, or we see whatever it is first before we see the person. And that's what we need to change, and that's what Breaking Bad changed. It's not who he is. It's not what he is. It's like I wake up every morning, oh, I have CP today. Let me make that about that. It's like anyone else. I never really even thought about my disability until someone told me I was disabled. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, I'm fine, man. And that's something that we need to change. And I don't look at a physical challenge as a disability. I look at anything that's hindering your life or hindering what you want to do as a disability. This can be physical, this can be mental, this can be family, this can be friends, this can be your environment, your work. That in itself can be disabilities. I don't look at individuals with a disability. I look at everyone. We have these challenges. It's a personal challenge. It's a challenge directed at you that you have to overcome. And people like to put it to the side, but when it's their own, they put it to the side, and hopefully it goes away. But when you embrace it and you utilize it and you turn it into a knowledge factor, a power factor. For me, a disability in itself is that challenge. It's a challenge for you to grow. It's a challenge for you to learn something about yourself that you don't or will not learn without that challenge.
So accept it as an asset, and then when you overcome it, the world sees the power you have. Exactly. And use it as, we call it as a term called IP, intellectual property, where everyone has their own IP. That's kind of yours, because like you said, otherwise you're in the crowd. Now you're this special guy. We have a tendency to let our fears manipulate us. We have a tendency to fall into a category where we just go, I can't change this. This is me.
this is what I have to deal with, and I'm going to mope about that and just keep ignoring it and focus on another direction. And when people look at a disability in particular, they're like, oh, it's an illness. It's something we have to cure and fix and overcome. And yes, it is something you have to overcome. But fix and cure, you're not. We're human. We have follies. We will break bones. We will have injuries. You can't fix that. That's not something to fix. That's something to learn from. A lot of people are like, oh, you had Breaking Bad. You have it made. It's done. It's like, no. That just means I have to do something better. That big job may never come unless you build it. This carries over for everything in life. This isn't just about acting. This isn't just about doing this type of industry. But if you don't have a passion, like I said earlier, if you don't have a passion for what you're doing, get out of it. Stay away from it. Because it's only going to get worse, and it's only going to get harder to get out of it.
True. Right. You're just digging a hole.
You're just digging a hole, and the deeper it gets, sometimes it's a hole you cannot crawl out of.